Hello there, Mr. Ben. Welcome to Derry.
It's nice to be back.
Very positive day, but there's bound to be an elephant in the room, which is that the ministers have called communications absolutely shambolic in recent days.
Look, I'm here to think about the future and not the past. The fact is, I was here in Derry exactly 2 months ago, and alongside the Mayor, I said the government was committed to the Derry and Strabane city deal. And we're here today to sign with all of the partners, and this is going to be a huge opportunity for the region, and I'm not interested in dwelling on the past. I think we should focus on the future.
Okay, RTE, Conor Macaulay.
Well, I'm going to go back to the same territory, Secretary of State, if you don't mind. I mean, you heard the First Minister there say the decision to pause the funding had been ill-judged. I think people probably deserve to know how we got ourselves into the position where people were getting emails on Saturday saying this event had been cancelled, and then emails the next day saying it was back on. So that there's that issue. And then the second issue that we've heard consistently today is, will you give a commitment now that the other two city deals that have been paused will in fact get their cash?
Well, how have we got to this position? Because the new government was elected on the 4th of July. We came in, and what did we discover? That there was £22 billion worth of spending commitments that the last government had identified no funding for whatsoever. The Chancellor laid that out very clearly when she made her statement to the House of Commons in July, and that is why there is a spending review. And the two city deals, Causeway Coast and Mid-South West, they're at a much earlier stage, as you know, than there is. We've signed the financial agreement today. One has signed heads of terms, the other hasn't yet done so. They're a year, maybe two, maybe more years away from the stage we are today. And what the government has had to do is to say, on a whole range of spending commitments for which there was no money, we need to look at them. And so those two deals are now in the spending review. We will find out more when the Chancellor makes her budget statement at the end of October. That's how we got here, but that's how we're taking it forward. And look, you can rest assured that as the Secretary of State for Northern Ireland, I will be arguing in support of those two deals, because I know, everyone in Northern Ireland knows how important they are to future economic growth in all parts of Northern Ireland.
Cool FM, Chelsea Keeley.
Secretary of State, so we understand what you're saying, but how do you think, from what we're hearing and how it's perceived, how can you go forward and say, we will give two deals the go ahead, but your neighbour, for example, Causeway Coast and Glens, they can't? Surely that's not really instilling any confidence in the people of Northern Ireland or making them feel that the whole of the country is being valued.
Well, I have no lack of confidence in the people of Northern Ireland at all, because since my appointment and before, when I was the Shadow Secretary of State, I have seen the wonderful economic development that's taking place, the passion, commitment, skills, determination of the people and businesses of Northern Ireland. It's not about that, it's about a fiscal problem, a very, very big fiscal problem, and it's affected city deals in other parts of the United Kingdom. This is not just about Northern Ireland. And no responsible government can come in, having discovered the terrible legacy left by the previous government, irresponsibly to make promises they couldn't pay for, and we are having to clear that up. And rightly, in those circumstances, you look at things that haven't yet been committed and say, what are we going to do about that? That is what phase one of the spending review process is about, and we will discover more on the 30th of October when the Chancellor makes her budget statement.
PA, Rebecca Black.
Secretary of State, obviously it's been confirmed that Casement Park is not going to be ready for the Euros. Can you give any assurance to the GA that it will be redeveloped in line with the investment in the other sports here, and that it's not going to be left derelict for another 10 years?
Look, I understand completely the importance of the Casement Park project to the Executive, and it's been a long-standing policy of the Executive. It goes back, I think, to 2011, and the importance of the GAA. I talked to Jarlath Burns a couple of days ago about this. Clearly, the decision in the end we had to take over Casement Park was for one very simple reason. Since the Euros were awarded in October 2023, the previous government had done absolutely nothing to take that project forward. All the time the clock ticked. And we immediately asked independent experts to look at it, but the conclusion we reached was, even if you put a load of money into it, you could not be sufficiently confident that the stadium for the Euros would be delivered on time. There was an unacceptably high risk, and that is why we reached the conclusion that we did and let everybody know. We're in a new situation now, and I am determined, because I understand the importance of the project, to the GAA, to the Executive, to the First Minister, who put out a statement on Friday reaffirming her commitment to it. We need to work together to find a way forward, but there's some obvious things we need to do while taking stock. The specification required for the Euros is no longer required because there were things that the Euros wanted that added to the cost. So we need to look at that. The design will have to be different from the one that was put together for the Euros, and I am committed to finding a way forward. But we're going to have to pause and work out what actually is going to be built, what it will look like, because the design will be different, and secondly, how the money can be identified to take it forward. But it's a really, really important project to so many people in the world, and it is to me.
Final question, Derry News, Rory Mooney.
Now that the city deal has been signed, how soon will we see that money come rolling in?
Well, what happens now is this is a financial commitment of the British government and all of the partners here today, and it was a wonderful ceremony, and you could see how so many people working together over a long period of time had brought us to this hugely important moment for Derry and for Strabane. There will then have to be business cases developed for each of the individual projects. They will go through the normal process, as is already happening with the Belfast City deal, which of course reached this stage some time ago. So the process will continue, but I'm looking forward to seeing